Hello. Well, we're going to talk about transit today. Transit in, Cowichan Valley, Vancouver Island, and British Columbia. Keep the wheels rolling. Well, the wheels are not rolling. They've come to a grinding stop, and I'm going to be talking about that next. Stay tuned. Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to PWD Allies podcast. My name is Brent Frame. I am the host, and tune into our podcast version where you find your favorite app. And there's lots to choose from, lots of variety. Please like, subscribe, and share our content on the YouTube channel. It really helps to grow the channel. We're going to trying to get up our hours, and they're getting up there.
The
But we
watch hours, yeah.
yeah, our watch hours, and we're really needing that help to really give that boost up. So
We
whatever you
we
can do.
want 1,000 of our subscribers to binge watch
Oh yeah, binge watch.
80 hours worth of PWD Allies
Exactly.
podcast
Yeah,
content.
especially on today's segment, I'm going to be talking about transit on Vancouver Island in British Columbia, beautiful British Columbia. But it's not a beautiful transit system because the wheels have come to a grinding halt. And that's where I'm going to begin the podcast today. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in today to watching our episode here about BC Transit in the Cowichan Valley. Well, what does that mean, BC Transit in the Cowichan Valley? Well, Cowichan Valley Transit is a Canadian arm. It's been contracted out. So I'm going to begin where I'm saying is Cowichan Valley Transit is run by a Canadian arm of Transdev. Now, Transdev is
Actually, can I interrupt you
yeah,
just for a
sure,
second, Brent? Because
sure.
maybe it would be useful to back up a little bit and let people know that there used to be something called BC Transit that
That's
used to be province wide
that's right. That's right.
because it was for the entire province. The province ran
Hmm.
the entire transit system across the entire province,
Hmm.
and it was called BC Transit. And then when did was it that Translink got in the picture?
TransLink got involved around 2000, 2001 area. There was
Yeah,
a
that's right.
transition stage, and then became TransLink. BC Transit then kind of got contracted out to an organization called TransLink. And when
Mhm.
TransLink was formed, it's like the parent company. And underneath it, they had TransLink had to come up with a bus company name. And so there was a referendum put out at that time asking people in the community throughout Metro Vancouver and throughout BC, but more in basically in Metro Vancouver, what company should we call it? And so there was lots of names that were thrown out there, ideas. Coast Mountain Bus Company was the name that was chosen,
Mhm.
but BC Transit still existed outside of the region.
Yeah,
Outside,
and that's where it gets really
yeah,
messy, right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Anyway,
yeah,
continue. I just wanted to clarify that
yeah.
for people that
Just
don't
like
know. Yeah.
yeah, so basically TransLink is basically just for Metro Vancouver. Outside of Metro Vancouver, it's BC Transit. Now, that's where it gets really messy because each jurisdiction for BC Transit has a subsidiary contract. So Cowichan Valley, just for instance, on Vancouver Island, Cowichan Valley Transit is a Canadian arm. It was contracted out to a Canadian arm, and it's called Transdev. It's the Canadian arm off of a French company, a French company in France. Wow. Okay, so yeah,
Free
BC
bagels.
Transit,
Free bagels.
BC Transit is run by a French company in France, hey, under contract for BC Transit.
That makes sense, right, Brent?
Now, the employees for Cowichan Valley are basically employees of Transdev. Shouldn't they
Mhm.
not be employees of BC Transit directly? So here's the scoop of what's going on, though, just to kind of keep people updated of the current affairs for BC Transit in Cowichan Valley. Now, Cowichan Valley is a quite a big area geographically. There's North Cowichan, and then there's just the district of Cowichan. Like there's Duncan, and it broadens out to like not toward Mill Bay. It's still part of the Cowichan Valley, but it's run by Cowichan Valley Transit. So they go out to that far. Why? Because why do I know that? Because I've taken transit from Victoria to Cowichan Valley, which is run by Cowichan Valley Transit out to Victoria. It goes through a lot of areas, Mill Bay. It doesn't go to Shawnigan Lake, but Shawnigan Lake
Do
again.
they have signs? Do they have warning signs saying you are now entering a different transit zone
You are now entering the
from,
Cowichan Valley zone,
yeah,
the unknown zone where there's no
yeah.
transit right now.
Do not adjust your sets.
Do not turn the channel to another channel. This is not fake news. This is real
Yeah,
stuff, folks.
yeah.
So there's right now there's just mediation talks. There's no talks going on with Cowichan Valley and Transdev. They've set up mediation discussions right now, sessions um, for March 27th to the 29th. And then again on April 6th to the 8th, and then again on April 6th, 16th to the 17th. But unfortunately, the employer they've come to a stalemate. They just will not talk to
Yeah.
the union, which is very unfortunate. Like the bus drivers are, they're put into a very precarious situation where they want to provide the service, right? I don't know, like there's like all the concessions that are involved. I do know some, but I don't want to get into it because that's between the bus drivers and the union and like their employer. That's why they got a mediator involved. But what I do want to see is I want to see Transdev get to the table, meet with the bus drivers, meet with the union. Let's put an end to this bus strike, because this bus strike, for our viewers and our listeners right now are tuning into the podcast, February 7th of 2025. They went on strike. So they in that whole area of Cowichan Valley, they have no bus service whatsoever. Commuters who rely on the essential service. Come on, folks. Like, it's an essential service. The wheels need to be moving on that bus. The bus drivers need to be providing that service to and from communities. We have an express service that goes from Cowichan Valley to Victoria, and it's called the number 66 bus, Cowichan Valley Express, all the way to Victoria. And it services 4 times a day during the morning peak hours only, Monday to Friday. On Saturdays, they provide three bus services. It's only 3. In my view, it should be a hell of a lot more,
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
But I'll get to that in the podcast a little bit later, the breakdown, what I want to see happen. But first of all, I want to see that the bus strike put an end to this terrible, terrible situation that
Well,
shouldn't be.
yeah, and let's talk about the one of the really main sticking points of the whole strike is actually bathroom breaks.
It
And,
is.
and it sounds ridiculous, but it's like I just want to say like I don't really ride the bus anymore as much as I used to. Like, but basically from about age 19 till a few years ago, I was a regular bus rider. I would ride the bus like a ton.
Mhm,
So you're talking like 35 years or more of riding the buses, right? And
mhm,
in 35 years for me, um, I got to know some of the bus drivers really well. And you know what one of the number one complaint that I would always hear from bus drivers that would just like be chatting at me, they're like, man, I can't use the bathroom. I have no time
Oh,
to use the bathroom. I
yeah,
mean, it was an ongoing refrain for 35 years.
it's terrible.
You're
The
you're you're
condition.
telling you're telling me in 35 years you still haven't figured out the bathroom breaks, like the unions or the companies that are
Mhm.
involved. They can't give the drivers adequate bathroom breaks. I mean, that's just
It,
stupid. Like 35
it,
years and counting, and they're still trying to figure it out.
it's it's completely idiotic. Transdev, like, seriously, get your act together, okay? Like, listen to the bus drivers. You're affecting commuters, right? The
Mm.
commuters have basically voiced their concerns too, um, because they actually are witness. They have lived experience, witness like what bus drivers go through. And I stand with the bus drivers on that in solidarity because I've taken the bus many times, even out toward the Fraser Valley when they had their bus strike going on. Like I couldn't even get to the Fraser Valley from basically from Victoria. When I went to the Metro Vancouver, I took the bus out as far as I could out to the Fraser Valley, but I couldn't take BC Transit. Why? Because they were on strike. And again, one of the concessions, again, it's a different union, and they're contracted out also in the Fraser Valley to a bus company in the US. Okay, so they had the same one of the sticking points on that one was bathroom breaks too. Okay, and when TransLink went on strike, when we were living in the Metro Vancouver of the Fraser Valley, the same thing. One of the sticking points was bathroom breaks. Also, again, like the TransLink, you gotta really look at that too. And then so I want to see BC Transit brought right back under BC Transit, like provide BC Transit bus service, not contract out all these to all these companies. Why? I mean, bring it under one roof. All bring it on BC Transit back under one roof. But the sticking point on the concession, one of the concessions, you're right, Neil, is bathroom breaks. Talked to the bus drivers before, ridden the bus from Cowichan when I went across Island out to Nanaimo. And you basically transfer in Cowichan Valley in Duncan, and you jump and you wait for the 66 bus to go to Victoria. And when that happened, I mean, that's a long route. The bus drivers need to have that bathroom break because the turnaround time when they get there, if they get stuck in traffic, and anyone who knows about the traffic in Victoria, it can come very contentious at times. Get a whole bottleneck traffic along the Highway 1 and going through outside of Victoria through Langford and out to the out to the Malahat. That area is notoriously bad for getting backed up in traffic. So the bus drivers, they get backed up pretty bad there. And so in their turnaround time, they get to Victoria. I mean, my gosh, one bus driver was like 20 minutes late. And so they're, technically they have no bathroom break. Well, they took a bathroom break. You have to. And what are you supposed to do? Piss your pants?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, come on.
And then it becomes an issue of like you're inconveniencing the passengers because maybe they have appointments.
Exactly.
And so now they're late for appointments or for late for work. And it looks bad. It looks bad for the drivers, but it's not really the driver's fault.
Not the bus driver's fault at all, because I mean, when they take their break and then they'll park their bus and they'll run over to the maybe over to the legislature. There's not a lot of places right around that area. Maybe to the legislature or maybe over to the museum because they have washrooms right there. And usually they go to the museum. It's quicker access for them. But still, you're right. Is that by the time the bus driver now goes, they're actually late. So people are waiting for that bus going, where's the bus? So now the bus driver is going, they're now running late and now heading out. And now if they get traffic, now they're even more late. So they get to Cowichan, out to Duncan. Imagine if they need to transfer onto a bus to go to Nanaimo. Now they miss that bus connection. Now you got to wait for maybe a couple more hours for another bus. Yeah. Now that person, the commuter, is now late. And tardiness, guess what? They may lose their job. And now, because of this bus strike, people are potentially going to lose their jobs, or maybe they have lost their jobs. So with that being said, there's an audio clip that I'm going to play to our listeners who are watching today and on the podcast later on. And rather than me putting the video on, I'm just going to play the audio. So here we go.
This Duncan woman relies on HandyDart to get around and has been unable to get to work for more than 5 weeks because of the Cowichan transit strike. It's left her in a worrisome spot.
It's still looming. I might lose my job. And what I've heard in between the lines from HR, I'm not the only one.
They're talking about a revolution. Those supporting a fair and negotiated collective agreement are rallying in downtown Duncan. Michelle DeVries has been a bus driver for 3 years and says they have several demands.
to get our wages closer to what Victoria is. Not parity, but closer. We're looking to catch up. We're looking to get our pension fixed. And we're looking for like better options just to take bathroom breaks.
The dispute is not with BC Transit, but Transdev Canada, a subsidiary of a private company based in France that's managing the Cowichan Valley transit system.
I was shocked to find out that BC Transit contracts out to independent companies, and currently Transdev, a multinational corporation based in France, gets the profits from our community. And that's that.
In an email response, BC Transit did not fully explain why it contracts out Cowichan Transit's management. The strikes coordinator says the union met with Transdev negotiators last month to no avail.
Unfortunately, they didn't come back with anything different than what they've already offered us, so it was disappointing. But we were able to get mediation dates coming up at the end of the month, so something to look forward to.
Those dates are set for March 27th to 29th and April 5th to 7th. Not near soon enough for this Honeymoon Bay resident and mother.
I've been having to hold a sign at the bus stop, which puts me in a vulnerable situation, and relying that a safe community member picks me up and takes me into town.
April Murphy says she texts her partner each time, but it's a risk she shouldn't need to take, and she needs transit to be operating.
Well, again, Brent, I just want to go back. We already said that that BC Transit used to be just a fully run corporation by the provincial government, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've already said that it switched hands. It went to TransLink and Coast Mountain Bus. Back in the very early 2000s, like 2000, 2001 or so.
Yeah.
So, but I want to go back. Like, if you think about it, like, again, you and I are getting up there in age. So like, if you go back to the 60s or 70s or 80s, 90s in there, I don't recall ever hearing cases ever, but between the 70s to 90s of the government saying that there's no money for transit, like that they're running out of. Have you?
There was always money.
Do you recall in the 70s, 80s, and 90s where the government was saying would say, "Oh, we're running out of money for transit"? That they would. That was never a thing. And now with TransLink and with Coast Mountain Bus, money is a thing every freaking year. It's like we just said on the last podcast, what, they're $600 million short or something.
$600,000.
Oh, 600,000. Oh,
yeah.
Still, I mean,
the
money they burn through now is like we're so short on funds.
Yeah, it's something around there. But here's the problem on the BC Transit is it's contracted out to so many different private companies, and it's all patchwork system now. Those contracts need to be voided, need to be brought back under BC Transit, brought back to the way that BC Transit was run. Because I remember, going back when I was in high school at the time. This is going back into the 80s, and I remember when BC Transit was just introduced out in the valley where I lived. And I was like, what? A transit bus is coming out? I remember getting something in the mailbox and saying, the wheels are going to be running in your neighborhood soon. The wheels are going to be running in my neighborhood soon. That was a slogan that they ran with. So I looked into it, and I phoned up BC Transit. And they said, yes, that's right. We're going to be coming soon to the community near you. And I said, to the community near me? Well, I am in the community. Isn't that exciting? Well, it was very limited bus service. It was exciting, yes, because I had a school bus that I used to have to take to actually take me to school. But now with that transit coming in, they were going to discontinue the school bus so that we would take the transit. Well, it was very limited service, like I say, but it was there. So I got on. I went to school on that bus. I got off, And time you got out of school, I had to wait for a fair while to catch that bus to come back home. But I was able to do that. But it was under BC Transit. It was BC Transit. I remember seeing the BC Transit logo on the side of the bus. Bus drivers were, they were super friendly. They were, I don't know, they just seemed to be more excited to basically welcome aboard. They say, "Welcome aboard, young man." And some bus drivers would play a game with me, and they would pull up to my bus stop and have the door closed. And I'm standing here, and the guy's waving his hand at me, going like, "Don't go away." And I'm standing here waiting, and the bus driver, the doors are still closed. Like, open the door, sir. And he's like, no, nods his head, pulls the bus forward a little tiny bit. I'm like, oh, no, he's going to pull away. And he stops. He goes, "Oh, did you want on? Is that what you were asking me a question?" "Yeah." "Oh, okay, get on." But there's just the sense of humor they would have back there. Now they seem to be so uptight because of their contract negotiations that they have with their employer. It doesn't have to be that way. It's about respect and integrity, and honoring the essential service to the public. That's what they're supposed to do. I remember John Horgan talking about that when he was in opposition in government. As an essential service. And
even let's just talk a little bit of an aside a little bit.
Yeah.
And again, this is going to show your age and my age, but remember too that the bus drivers never used to be barricaded in glass.
I know.
Behind glass on their seat, and it's so stupid now. That you have bus drivers being assaulted daily, and now they have to lock themselves behind plexiglass. Again, that was never a thing, for decades. It was never a thing, and now you have like idiots, like stupid idiots that spoil it for everybody. That you have like drivers being threatened, so they have to lock themselves behind plexiglass protectors in their seat. It's just really, really ridiculous.
It really
I just feel really bad for the drivers on so many levels. Like they put up with so much crap and abuse. And that doesn't get enough airplay too, right? It doesn't get enough airplay too.
Oh, exactly. I remember hearing that from TransLink, from some of the Coast Mountain Bus Company employees when they went on strike in Langley when we lived out there. They basically told us that the top executives, they have way too many top executives in the company, and that's where all the fat is. That's what the one bus driver said. That's where all the fat is. He says it needs to be cut off at the top, and he says that's where you're going to recoup a lot of this money to provide more bus service. And I said, well, like, is that the only reason? No, there's a lot of other concessions. Wage parity, like we need to have our wages brought up to a standard level. Working conditions was the number one sticking point, and you basically just mentioned that. Our safety is our number one priority, and the safety for our passengers too. Because if our safety is put at risk, the passenger safety is put at risk. I said, yeah, exactly. And he says, well, do you know other areas in BC that are that way? I said, I don't know. At the time, we didn't know. Now, fast forward, we're in Victoria. And again, the bus drivers here, I hear it all the time. They're frustrated with their counterparts out in Cowichan. But they said they really can't comment a lot because it's a different union and they don't want to rock the boat. But they said at the same time, they need to be treated with respect and dignity. They agree too that it should not be contracted out. So FYI, a government, they agree that they should not be contracted out to a French company. Like Transdev is a Canadian arm off of a French company. Come on, we need to do better as society, as government, right? Remember, government is elected officials that the public to vote you in, right? So you're representing our needs, the customers' needs, the commuters' needs. We need to have a basic standard in place. Here's the other part too: is people that are on fixed incomes, low income people on fixed income, seniors, people with disabilities, single mothers, single fathers. maybe they have a fairly good paying job at the time, or maybe, that they're going to lose their job if they can't get to and from a community taking a bus. It really puts a burden on their lives, but also they depend on now people hoping to give them a ride. It's
Yeah.
not a quick hop, skip,
Which is
and a
kind
jump.
of dangerous nowadays.
It is. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't just go from Victoria to Cowichan, just like that. So,
I shared this before. Um, I've taken the ride of a stranger 3 times actually, um, in my entire life, and it and one of those times was when I was waiting for a bus. I shared this. I remember I did share this. I was waiting for a bus. This is like years ago. Like I think I was like a late teen or early 20s, and it was in Oak Ridge, and I was downtown like really late at night at 11 o'clock at night or something, and the bus wasn't showing up, and I'm like,
oh no.
crap, I had to get all the way back to Burnaby, and
Well, yeah.
I'm stranded out here, and I'm like thinking, the bus isn't going to show up, is it? Thinking to myself, and finally I had a car stop, and he bends down and opens a window and kind of bends out the window, and he says, yeah, the bus is not running, like it stopped like a half hour or an hour ago or something. I'm like, well, I didn't know that. But then he says, I'll give you a ride. And right away I knew it was okay, because you know why? Is because I saw the guy's vest. On his vest was BC Transit.
Oh,
Uh, so he was a bus, like a transit driver.
oh wow.
So I'm like, he's like, I'll drive you home. And I'm
Mhm.
thinking, wow, that's amazing. So that was one time where I let a stranger drive me all the way home, because I looked at the guy's vest and it was like BC Transit vest on. So I'm thinking, I'm good,
Yeah,
But and there's a couple of more times, but
yeah.
I don't want to waste the whole show. But that was one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember at a time where, of course, they had limited bus service at the time where I lived out in the valley, and I had to go all the way to Horseshoe Bay, and I knew like the bus was running late. It was really bad weather conditions. It was snowing. The bus was running late, and I looked at the time, and I knew what time I needed to catch a bus in Nanaimo at the time, because I had to go away to out to North Vancouver, and then out to Horseshoe Bay. If people know where Horseshoe Bay is, so all the way out in the valley, and the bus was running late. And the connections I had it all written down on paper, the connections that I need to make, and then get it all the way out to New Westminster at the time, because that's where you see where the bus would take me all the way from Surrey all the way, and I had to go all the way to New Westminster SkyTrain station, because that's where the buses actually would go to, right? And because the SkyTrain wasn't extended all the way to Surrey at the time.
Yeah, I just stopped there. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had to get all the way there to the SkyTrain, and I had it all planned out. And I showed the bus driver, he pulled up. I said, "Oh my gosh, you're finally here." And the bus driver kind of slid a little bit because it was like really slippery, snowy. Like it was just coming down in buckets. Huge snowflakes too, by the way. Winter wonderland. I mean, wow. It's like I saw like an abominable snowman coming in. Oh, it's just a big blob of a bus coming in, snow all covered. You couldn't even read the bus sign in the front of the bus. It was all covered in snow and ice, and like, yeah, it was crazy. So anyway, I get on the bus, and the bus driver says, "Well, oh, well, where are you going?" And this in this winter wonderland. I said, well, my final destination, Cross Island. Cross Island. And how are you going to get there? I go, well, here's a piece of paper. He grabs it out of my hand. He pulls it out of my hand, closes the door. He goes, "Let's go." So he makes sure there's no traffic behind him, and he checked his shoulder, and off he went. And he's kind of glancing at this. "You're not going to make it. What? You're not going to make your connections in time. There's no way you're going to make your connections for the bus." I'm like, "Well, what am I supposed to do now?" He goes, "Well, I guess you're now stuck on my bus." What? So he goes, looks around. He says, "Well, I got no other passengers on the bus. So I'm going to tell you what. When I get to Langley Center, I'm going to be going out of service because that's as far as my route goes. And then you're supposed to jump onto a 501, right?" I go, "Yeah." yeah, you're not going to make the connection out that way. You know, it's your lucky day. What? It's your lucky day. I'm going to drive you away to Horseshoe Bay. I'm putting the bus out of service. But here's the catch, though. Okay, if passengers get on along the way, I will have to go right to Langley Center, and if not, I'm going to bypass Langley Center and I'll continue on. Oh, so we need to make a little pit stop and drop people off if need be. If not, we're going to continue on. Oh my gosh, how much do I owe you? I put my wallet. He goes, no, put your wallet away, sir. Put your wallet away. You don't need to pay me anything. No, because it's going to cost me money to go all the way down. It's fine. Go and buy, I don't know, go and buy hot chocolate or maybe some lunch on the ferry. He got me down there way beforehand, before my buses actually would have even got me down. I commended him to BC Transit at the time. I said, you need to give this driver a promotion or a raise or something. He went out of his way, put it not in service. He contacted dispatch. He says, so I'm going to be a little delayed coming back to the yard. I need to take care of a passenger who basically would be stranded otherwise. And they said, no problem. Thank you for commending and being, the upright employee of that. And I said, thank you, like, to whoever it was. I guess it was his supervisor. And they said, here's no problem, sir. No problem. And like, wow. And so that really made my day. Yeah. For having excellent, outstanding, customer service.
I've had wonderful bus drivers. Like, I can't even think of, actually, the only time I had a bad bus driver, a couple of them, was actually on the island. Remember when I went over that one year with my wife, and we were going to hook up, but then I got so sick on food poisoning.
Yeah, right.
Because I brought my scooter over. Like, my new scooter is pretty small. It's not really big. But I found that because the aisles on the Victoria buses, they're quite a bit narrower, right?
They are.
And it really surprised me. And so I was having a hard time tucking my scooter in tighter along the wall.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a couple of drivers, I hate to say it, but they were really giving me grief. It was like my first time, like, on a bus with my scooter, like on that type of bus.
Yeah.
And I was having a really hard time, like, getting it like flush. And one of the bus drivers was like, I'm not moving until all this kind of stuff. But other than that, that was like a one-time thing. Other than that, I've had like wonderful bus drivers. And like you mentioned the snow, and especially in the winter when it was really snowing bad. I remember like standing out in the snow on my crutches when I had crutches, and you're waiting for the bus, and all of a sudden you'd see in the distance, you'd see the bus coming.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you hear like this choir of angels in the background, like, oh,
I know, that's what I mean. That's why I saw this big
bus is coming.
Big
it was
blob
like,
coming. It's
yes, and like so many times, like every year it was snowing with bad. You'd be waiting for the bus. It'd be like this little dot in the horizon. All of a sudden, it get like a bit bigger, and you're
it's like,
yes, it's like, oh,
Yeah, it's like when I was waiting for that bus that time, and the bus driver couldn't even pull up into the bus stop because there was so deep of snow. Like I had snow boots on, and all geared up, and the snow was almost to the top of my snow boots, almost, not quite. That's how deep it was. And so the bus driver had to pull up onto the highway because he couldn't pull in anywhere else. There was a bus bench, and you couldn't even see the bus bench. I mean, there was so much snow. It was just like a big bank of snow. I literally had to stand on the side of the highway, and the bus driver pulled up. Didn't run me over, and he kind of pulled up and he says, kind of like, in other words, waved like, stand where you are, don't worry, like, I'm gonna navigate around you, because he realized he couldn't even pull in there. I mean, pretty unsafe, right? I mean, if there was other motorists coming along, then obviously, yes, I would have had to jump back into a snowbank and wait there. But yeah, I mean, I looked at that, that scenario, and it was very rewarding at the time. But getting back to the Cowichan Valley transit labor dispute is going on way too long. they already have limited bus service as it is coming out from Cowichan. So just for our viewers, our listeners later on, Cowichan Valley is the bus company that provides service from Cowichan all around the Cowichan districts, Duncan and surrounding areas within the Cowichan Valley. They also provide an express bus service 4 times a day, only during AM peak hours only. So there's 3 buses in the very early morning hours running out of Duncan to Victoria. Now, over time, after advocating and pushing, and people within the community of Cowichan, we've all expressed our concerns that we needed to have a better connection. So what Cowichan finally did was they didn't add more service on. They got one of the buses and they pushed it forward until like 9:26 in the morning. So leaving Cowichan, Duncan, out to Victoria. So it gets out to Victoria. The bus driver takes a break until about 1:45 in the afternoon. Yeah. So you're wondering, wow, it takes a break. Yeah. So they get to Victoria about 11:45 in the morning and drop you off. The bus driver now takes a break until 1:45. Now, you're wondering what happened to those other 3 buses that I mentioned, right? They're now parked in Victoria also. So they don't leave until after 3:00. So that's a very long break that those bus drivers are having in Victoria. One kind of wonders what is going on. Well, I mean, geez, that's a very long break from early in the morning by the time they get to Victoria, right? I wonder why Victoria, and if the mayor is watching this and the city councils in Victoria are watching this, why can't you, Victoria, provide bus service from Victoria to Cowichan Valley? And still, Cowichan Valley can still provide their service too, right? But Victoria, you provide the service round trip throughout the day. 4 trips, just make it 4 trips, right? Do it as a pilot project, right? And I can guarantee that when you do as a pilot project, it will be permanent because the demand will become greater. If you put the service out, people will come. Remember, Field of Dreams, everybody? Build it, they will come. Yeah. Put the transit out there, it will come. People will take it. If you don't put the service out, people are going to say, oh, what service? Oh, it's there. Oh, it's limited service. Oh, now they're on strike. What's the point taking it? I mean, there's a lot of people in my community who didn't even know that they even have service from Cowichan to Victoria. And then there's some people that said, oh, yes, I've used it, but I tried to take the CityLink instead because CityLink, they run several times a day to across island. It gets expensive, $40 a person one way.
If people know they can't rely on the transit, people just stop taking it, right?
Yeah, then they just get into their vehicles, right? I always my motto is be proactive and actually provide this service. Business community, they know that if you provide service, that it's going to enhance their businesses. It's going to enhance mobility wise. For people, commuters, opens up opportunities for people to visit their family and friends in other communities across the region. Interurban transit, right? It's not rocket science. It's not difficult to do. It just takes that motivation, that willingness to actually get out there and actually do it. Why do I know all this stuff? Because I used to fight with BC Transit to provide better service out in the region that I lived in. And I would not stop advocating, Neil, and our listeners. Oh, I pushed them hard. I got out there and I got a rally. I got, I stood right out at the Langley Bus Center. I had a clipboard.
Oh, yeah. I lived out in Langley for 10 years, and the Langley bus service was crap for
back then.
So many years. It was just crap.
Yeah, they finally are now expanding to different areas, which is awesome. Of course, now they do it as I don't live there. But I pushed them hard on expanding service from out in Aldergrove all the way to Langley Center. And they did. I pushed them hard. I said, eliminate this one route because it's irrelevant. They had duplication of services. They had 2 buses going out from Langley Center out there. They had a 506 bus and a 511 bus, it was called. So people that are familiar with those 2 routes.
Yeah, like the Walnut Grove, that's where I lived for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's so many bus routes that were like an hour service.
Yeah.
like every hour service. So if you missed a bus, you were stuck for like an hour.
Like
There
these
and there was a lot of the bus routes were like that
yeah, they
out
were
there.
hour
Yeah,
service. And where I was,
yeah, yeah,
it was every 2 hours. It was very long.
yeah. Sometimes every 2 hours. Yeah,
And so
yeah.
they had one going through Murrayville, and the one route busser would have to do Brookswood for a while too, because that was part of a different route that he did. But then after he left Brookswood, he would do Walnut Grove too. Like sometimes they would do Walnut Grove, and then he would turn around and go out to where I used to live, out in the area. So he'd go further out that way. And I'm like, oh, so I sat on his route. I said, well, what route do we do next? Oh, we're gonna go out and take you home. Oh, wow, okay, so stay on the bus. I said, oh, good. We get to go through the scenic route. I called it. And he goes, yeah, eventually he even heard, he says, I heard through the grapevine that they're going to be discontinuing this bus route. I go, oh, no. Yeah, yeah. He says, but what's going to happen? They're going to be expanding the other bus route, which I drive sometimes too. And that one went up through Langley Memorial Hospital. The other bus route, the other one went through Murrayville. So it went all the way up the hill, went all the way through the other area, which I thought it was kind of neat because it actually provided service in that area. But as time went on, more development, and I guess transit felt it was duplication of service, which is fine. I agreed with them on that because I said, well, as long as you can actually provide more service, that's fine. And basically, I guess my point of it is that the willingness to provide more service is greater when the commuter needs become greater. But reducing service is not the best way to look at it, because then people get discouraged. They don't want to take transit then. And Cowichan Valley, like Victoria, you guys, both communities, or you need to kind of get together. And like I just said, is that Victoria, I want you to provide your service out there. I've talked to people in the area; they would love to take the service, your service, right? I know that you've told me on the phone several times, and so is Cowichan. Well, Victoria says, well, Cowichan, you're providing the service. We don't need to provide it. So Victoria, you provide it, round trip, 4 trips a day. Cowichan, keep doing your thing, but expand it. So now we're going to have a lot of service coming back and forth, because people who go from Cowichan get stuck in Victoria for the day. Now they can go back to Cowichan, but you can't get back to Victoria. Yeah. So as an example, if I want to go to Nanaimo, I have to wait till the afternoon in Victoria, afternoon, because that same bus parks. I can go out, but I can't come back the same day. Or I can go.
Earlier, Dan had a comment in chat. He says, "Do the signs say board on Tuesday and return on Saturday?"
Yeah, basically, basically that's how it is. I mean, Dan, I can go northbound, right? So I can go northbound from Victoria. I mean, geographically, when I'm here, it's a little bit different than when you're out in the valley, because I know my north, east, south, west really well there. In Victoria, it's like, well, wait a minute, which way is north, which one's south? And it took me so long to try and figure that out, because it's how it's situated. But going northbound from Victoria, you're going across island up toward Nanaimo, and then after that, it's like Parksville, et cetera, et cetera. So I can go to Nanaimo, but I can't get back unless I want to go first thing in the morning and catch a bus leaving Nanaimo at 7:06 in the morning. I can catch that one, get to Duncan, and catch the 9:26, the last bus in the morning. Now that bus originally, like I said, was earlier.
That's crazy that it's the last bus.
You know what I mean? It was earlier originally.
The last bus at 9:30.
But people leaving out of Nanaimo were complaining that they still needed to get to Victoria. So they said, okay, we're going to push that last bus further last to 9:26. So yeah, you could go from 7:06 from Nanaimo, transfer in Duncan, and you have like a 15 minutes, I think maybe 15, 20 minutes to catch that bus. You have to hope that there's no accidents, there's no traffic backup, because if you miss that 9:26 to get to Victoria, guess what? You got to now wait again till next day to try and do that again.
Well, you know what they say, Brent, is hope is not a plan.
Hope is not a plan. That's like
and we are at the end of the well, actually we're going to run for about 45 minutes today, so I didn't know if you wanted to wrap up now or not.
Basically it's about expanding the service. I mean, like on a Saturday, you can get to and from only on the first bus out of Victoria, and come back on the last bus. So you can get to Nanaimo. You can get there for about maybe a half hour, and then turn around, go back. Sure, on a Saturday. Go figure. I want to see basically more enhanced service. I'm going to keep pushing them hard on it because that's one of my areas that I really I believe that people should be able to get to and from a community. You can't get trapped. You should not be trapped in a community where you are. It's just unacceptable. And with that being said, I heard also that Victoria's contract is up for renewal, expires on March 31st of 2025. And that the union is saying there could be a transit strife. Yeah, strife. STRIFE.
Okay.
So there's outstanding situations that need to be.
This is like a spelling bee now.
Yes. So that
spell strife and use it in a sentence, Brent.
Yeah, because yesterday I was on the transit bus and we went to the grocery store and there was 2 buses that were crossed out. And then it finally showed up. There was another one that was crossed out and another one. So that tells me that they're preparing for possible escalation. Hey, contract is up to March 31st. So let's hope that the Victoria Transit can actually work out a deal. Because imagine if they go on strike and the Cowichan Valley is still on strike, people are going to be really messed up. And BC Ferries, their rates are going up as of April 1st. 90-cent increase doesn't seem like very much, but when you're low income, all these little costs add up. Yeah. So now you feel like you're trapped on Gilligan's Island and you can't get anywhere. You're trapped within Victoria. Help, let me off the island.
Talking about this is I'm gonna hijack the podcast for at the end here, but you're talking about food prices and stuff going up. Wasn't it not that long ago that avocados were like 70 cents for an avocado? Just the other
5 cents.
Yeah, it was like 70 cents, 75 cents per avocado, depending on how big the avocado is, I guess. But
I used to buy them.
But my wife went the other day. Guess how much it was for one avocado? And she says it was so small. For one avocado, it was $2.70. $2.70 for one avocado. And she says it was like micro avocado too. It was like so it says $2.70 for an avocado.
Whoa.
And they used to be 70 cents. I remember because I love avocados. I eat them all the time. I would go and buy them and they were like roughly about 70 cents.
Yeah, I used to get them for 75 cents at Save Foods. And that would be the place I used to get them. Or No Frills.
It's like a $2 markup. It's like, wow.
In No Frills in Langley, they had avocados on for sometimes 70 cents, sometimes 75, depending on how much supply they had coming in. They'd be on sale, like they'd have marked down to 70. I'm like, and there was nothing wrong with them. So I'm like, I picked up like 2 or 3 of them. I mean, why not, right?
Yeah.
We, put it up.
Dan says I'd rather have a bag of chips for that price.
Hey, Dan, I used to go No Frills, 97 cents for a bag of chips. Now they want $1.36 for that same bag.
Yeah, but I couldn't believe it. Like my wife is just floored. She says $2.70 for one avocado.
It's ridiculous, and what you have avocado toast.
It's like, is it laced with gold or what?
Yeah, it was lined with gold. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like someone going and spending like $75 for a freaking sandwich. I mean, like, wow. Really? Like,
let's talk about that. Let's talk about that to end the podcast.
Avocado sandwich. I mean,
yeah, because what was it? I told you it was Vaughn, right?
Yeah, Vaughn.
Vaughn Palmer had an article in the paper recently, and it was our premier here in BC. David Eby had this fancy dinner thing that he was putting on as it was like a kind of a thank you to all of public service, like all public servant employees. It was like a thank you for your service, kind of a dinner or lunch thing.
Maybe the BC Transit employees, public service employees.
but yeah, so he had this big dinner on, and their sandwiches. The sandwiches were $75 each. $75 each.
75. Wow.
And Vaughn Palmer said he checked. He says I checked. He says you can go to the Hell's Kitchen, where they have Gordon Ramsay has sandwiches there that are it's a
The chef.
lobster bisque sandwich, a lobster bisque sandwich for $30. Like at Gordon Ramsay's restaurant, you can get a lobster bisque sandwich for $30.
My God.
And you tell me that you have to spend $75 on a sandwich at some sort of thank you
Whoa.
luncheon for BC Public Service?
My God,
So
that's terrible.
isn't
Terrible.
that awful?
Chef Gordon Ramsay, you can go there, and everyone who follows Hell's Kitchen and some of the Gordon Ramsay.
I love watching that
Me too.
because I'm Scottish. I'm Scottish, and he's a Scottish bloke, right?
Yeah.
And so like I love everything he
Yeah,
does.
too.
Yeah.
I follow Gordon Ramsay all the time, and some of the language he teaches me new words all the time. I tell you, especially when he's checked out the kitchens, right? What is it? Especially some of the comes out there and he's pecking through. He's like, yeah.
Well, he says some things like green burgers kill people,
He said, what the is this?
Yeah.
Oh,
But I mean, it's crazy to think that you can get a lobster bisque sandwich at Gordon Ramsay's restaurant for $30. And apparently they had these sandwiches for $75 each at this appreciation luncheon that Premier AB put on. And then to top it off, the person in charge of the budget, Brenda Bailey. Brenda Bailey.
Oh, right, yes.
She was quoted and saying, "Well, we didn't want to get too extravagant. And then so Von Palmer's like saying, so $75 sandwiches is not extravagant.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, and
it's crazy.
Like Gordon Ramsay actually has some new commercials out too, and they're so hilarious. It's it basically some of the words he's like, what the? Yeah. Definitely check them out. I mean, if you're a Gordon Ramsay fan, I mean, definitely follow some of his shows that he has. I find them really entertaining, especially the Hotel Hell that he used to. But yeah, those were interesting too.
I like the kitchen nightmares that he does.
The kitchen nightmares, me too. And that kind of puts into perspective. I mean, nightmares of transit. I mean, I can't even put the words together of how frustrating that must be for the commuters that are, in Cowichan, that are stranded. They got no bus service to get to Victoria. I mean, imagine that you're stuck there and you need to get to Victoria. You got medical appointments in Victoria at two of our big hospitals in Victoria, and you can't get there. There is a problem there. I mean, so again, Transdev, okay, get with it, okay, and get these buses going. I mean, sure, there's a mediation talks going forward, but there's no talks with the bus drivers and the unions. You know what? You guys get it together. Get those buses out there.
Maybe EV should throw in some $75 sandwiches and
maybe as an incentive to get them going. I don't know. I mean, the gold-plated sandwiches. I mean, imagine those sandwiches, the rates that could go to PWD, all the money that's getting wasted. I mean, wow, it's mind-boggling on that. But here, but the ones people that are in Cowichan, though, they can get to Nanaimo. They can get to Nanaimo because Nanaimo provides an express bus, a number 70 bus that goes from Nanaimo to Cowichan. They can't cross the picket lines, but they've made arrangements where they can park the bus. People can now walk over and get on that bus, go back to Nanaimo. Now, if you need to get to Victoria, sure, you can go from Cowichan now, go to Nanaimo, and take the bus down to Departure Bay Ferry Terminal, take the bus over to Horseshoe Bay, take the number 257, which is faster, out to downtown Vancouver, take the Canada line down to Bridgeport, right? Get off at Bridgeport, catch the bus from Bridgeport out to Tsawwassen Ferry Terminal, take the ferry over from Tsawwassen over to Swartz Bay, take the the bus from from Swartz Bay to downtown Victoria. But hey, oh, here's the problem. You're now stranded in Victoria. You can't get back to Cowichan.
Wow.
See how messed up that is? I mean,
Yeah.
well, that's the
Wow.
long way around, right? But
You should do that one day
I should.
on a Breaking with Brent. Do
I
that.
told Sonia that, and she said, "No, I can't do." Like, wouldn't that be funny? I'm actually seriously. I mean, I know if we just say, "Yeah, this is
That
what
would make good television, wouldn't
I
it?
think that
Though.
would be perfect in saying I can get from here all the way around." That'd be a
That
long,
would make great television.
yeah, it would be a long day, but you know what? That would be a quite a neat voyage to do that, actually. But here, before we end the podcast, here's some other news that I found out for the commuters for the summer coming up. BC Ferries has made an announcement. They've never done this before. It's a special route that they're putting on for the commuters because a high volume amount of people that are here now that have come and migrated to Metro Vancouver and out to the island, different districts on Vancouver Island. They're actually providing a summer one-time sailing a day and leaving from Tsawwassen Ferry Terminal, BC Ferries Terminal, out to Departure Bay Ferry Terminal, Nanaimo Departure Bay. So from Tsawwassen out to Departure Bay, one-time sailing, only one way, not round trip. I believe it's going to go at 4:30 p.m. starting in the summer, beginning of summer, and all the way until September 1st. So they're going to be launching it that way, so people can now go from there. Because if you're in Tsawwassen, how do you get all the way to Departure Bay if you're a foot passenger? You got to go, like I said, all the way to Departure Bay. I mean, to Swartz Bay, right? You're going to have to go all the way down and then go. And of course, how you do that when there's a bus strike? You can't. So that's going to be good for people in Tsawwassen. Now that ferry, you're probably wondering, well, what's going to happen with that ferry? Are they not coming back? What they're going to be doing is using that ferry. It's going to park for the night, and it's going to go leave in the morning out of Swartz Bay. Sorry, not Swartz Bay, Departure Bay in Nanaimo. They're going to use it, and they're going to take it up to Duke Point. They're just going to sail it with no passengers on it over to Duke Point, which is not far. It's people are familiar with the area. So Departure Bay over to Duke Point. It's just it'll take the ferry not long to get there. They're going to load up passengers at Duke Point ferry, because they usually use that vessel from Duke Point over to Tsawwassen anyway. So they're going to then take it over to Tsawwassen. They're going to park it there later in the day, and then they're going to take the passengers again from Tsawwassen back to Swartz Bay. So they're going to utilize that vessel, which is really neat. I would like to see them actually providing it over to Swartz Bay, over to Departure Bay. Now that would be yay, because people that are stranded in Victoria can't get to Departure Bay because there's a labor dispute with Transdev, a French company that won't provide service to the commuters.
You know, it reminds me of the fast ferries there used to be, what was it, 3 or 4 of them, and they were designed. Wasn't it in Germany? It was Germany that designed them, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I might be in the minority, but I love those things. I got to ride them in the short time they lived. I got to ride them a couple times.
Yeah, I did too.
And they were great. I loved them.
They were
I love them.
Yeah, the catamarans. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just a shame because you think like here we go about Gordon Campbell. He basically flushed them for pennies.
Oh, I know. I heard about that.
And you think like you could have done so much more with them than just to flush them for nothing. But it became this whole political ploy. It's like, I have to prove that the other government was wasting money.
Well, what it was is that they were going too fast into the inlets, right? And all they had to do is slow down the vessel.
Yeah, I mean, they were a problem. They were a problem. They weren't designed properly for our water. So it did look bad for the government that did approve them. But, if they had just slowed them down,
there would have been no problem there.
It would have been, and then you think, well, what's the point of slowing down a fast ferry? But I mean, they were still great ships though.
Yeah, because when they
And-
do slow it down into the inlets, but then when they get out to
Yeah,
water, you can speed up then.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Anyway,
Look at it from-
and you think even worst case scenario, they could have turned them all into barges or something.
yeah,
You
the one
know?
that's sinking out in the Fraser Valley right now.
Yeah, I mean, at worst case scenario, they could have done that.
Yeah,
But-
the McBarge, everyone that knew McDonald's McBarge back in Expo '86.
Yeah.
It's sitting out in the in Maple Ridge right now on the Fraser River. It's actually capsized. It's actually sinking. So all they can see right now is just some of the rusty old rails and some of the windows, and it's just sitting there right now.
I wish they had kind of kept that thing.
But the
it's
federal
great.
minister, apparently they haven't been able to reach the federal minister who's in charge of that. To find out the comment. What they're going to do is for environmental cleanup, right? But here's an idea for BC Transit though. So if you keep contracting out, how about I provide it? It's called Brent's Transit System, and contract it out to me. I'll provide the service. Give me the resources, and I'll put 7 days a week service. From Victoria all the way across, nonstop. We'll just pick up across the island.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah, we'll call it
There you go.
PWD. We'll call it PWD Allies Transit System.
There you go.
There we are.
The wheels on the bus go round and round.
Round and round, round and round. Transit service goes round and round, but not in your community. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode about Cowichan Valley Transit, which is provided by Transdev, a Canadian arm off of France, who provides the bus service to Cowichan Valley, who is on strike at the moment, is not respecting the bus drivers and the commuters. So if you are concerned about this, contact Transdev, the Canadian arm of BC Transit, who contracts out the service. Let Transdev know that how you feel, how they're running their service. Let BC Transit know directly, and let the BC Transit know directly that you do not want them to be contracting out bus service, and that you want service throughout the region 7 days a week. Thank you.
And the other thing is, Brent, before we go, let David Eby know, why the heck was he providing $75 sandwiches?
Yeah, David, why $75 sandwiches
when you can get a perfectly fine lobster bisque
from Chef Gordon Ramsay
from Chef Gordon Ramsay for $30?
$30.
Does not compute, David. Does not compute.
I mean, a price of a bus pass, David, for seniors, $45 a year. $45 a year.
Well, there you go. There you go. He could have bought the lobster bisque for $30, and he could have pocketed the $45 extra,
right.
and then could have converted that over into a yearly bus pass.
Right, for PWD.
For PWD, the yearly bus pass would have been restored.
Remember, David, what your predecessor, John Horgan, what he used to advocate in the BC legislature? He said, give them back their bus pass.
Yeah.
He said it was the most simple mode of transportation.
So see, David Eby could have solved everything if he just had gone with the $30 lobster bisque, had $45 left over. That's more than enough to fund a yearly bus pass for PWD.
Yeah, it's called.
So what's the deal, David? What's the deal, David Eby? Come on.
More value for your dollar.
More value for your dollar.
As the government would say at the ministry's offices, used to tell PWD all the time, live within your means.
Yeah.
Right? There we go.
No $75 sandwich for you.
No $75 sandwich for you. No for you. No for you.
Okay, bye everyone.
Stay tuned. Thanks everyone for tuning in for our next podcast. Take care.
Bye.